what a crazy world we live in. What crazy times, crazy platforms these are. The man on the screen is Dwayne Haskins. And as I showed you guys on my video on Ock Nation TV, we did a live stream on this a few weeks ago. Make sure you join us every Tuesday and Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Ock Nation TV for the live stream. And over there we talked about this young man, Dwayne Haskins, when he passed. And the mainstream media and the Twitter mob wanted to make this about a glacier glider reporter from ESPN named Adam Schefter, who made an extremely benign post about Dwayne Haskins. A completely middle-of-the-road, uncontroversial post breaking the story that Dwayne Haskins, as we know, was hit by a dump truck while trying to cross traffic in Florida on the highway. But the mainstream media saw a racial element to this. So they said, okay, we can take a word called struggling, a word known as struggling, that Adam Schefter used to, make this evil glacier glider man not having respect for a Sun Man football player who's untimely death. And they drugged that guy, Adam Schefter. I mean, they drugged him. It was so disgusting. And they drug him. I mean, drug him. Now, I know other people said things that were distasteful, but those were nobodies. Adam Schefter is the lead NFL insider at ESPN. He's on a whole nother level than anybody else who might have said something that you guys didn't like.
Thousands of fans, friends, teammates, and coaches took to Twitter today after learning of Dwayne Haskins' death. Many of you hearing the news first from us here in the media. Adam Schefter is ESPN's senior NFL insider. He has 9.4 million followers on Twitter, and he was the first to break the news of Haskins' passing this morning. Unfortunately, it was done without taste, class, or any respect for the life Haskins lived.
And I gotta just stop it right there, just really quickly. I'm from Washington, D.C. When Dwayne Haskins was playing, he was possibly the worst quarterback I had ever seen wear a Redskin uniform. And I'm talking about Patrick Ramsey, Kerry Conklin, Jason Campbell, an old washed up Donovan McNabb, a banged up, broke up RG3, Kirk Cousins, all the way back into the days, man. I mean, Jeff George, Jay Schrader. We're talking about Dwayne Haskins is by far the worst quarterback to ever put on a Redskins uniform. Washington football team, Commanders, whatever you want to call it. The worst. And they dogged him in Washington, D.C. That local media dogged him. That's what makes this little fake outrage from these pasty liberals up here in D.C. so much more disgusting. Oh, but we're going to get into it.
Haskins passing this morning. Unfortunately, it was done without taste, class, or any respect for the life Haskins lived. His initial tweet has since been deleted, but not before thousands saw it and retweeted it. Here is what it read in part. Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, died this morning when he got hit by a car in South Florida. I'm going to stop right there. A 24-year-old man with his entire life ahead of him has tragically lost his life. And Adam Schefter chose to speak of his, quote, struggles. It's disgraceful.
No, he didn't speak of his struggle. He described the guy's career in one sentence. A standout at Ohio State, which he was. He was a great college football player. And he was god-awful. I mean, dreadful with the Redskins. He struggled. He got cut. in his second season before the season was over. They just said, get out of here. And this channel right here, WUSA 9, they dogged. Dogged. I mean, they dogged this kid while he was in Washington, D.C.
Chose to speak of his, quote, struggles. It's disgraceful. In this wild ride we call life, we all have our ups and downs, our greatest achievements, and the moments that will only make us stronger. It's how we learn from our low points and rise up to be better that truly define us. Haskins was doing just that. He was so proud of his progress, his recent signing with Pittsburgh, and was doing everything he could to make sure that his life was the absolute best it could be. As journalists, especially in news, we often have to report on death. But may we never be so cold to forget that the person we are talking about was a son or a daughter, a friend or a neighbor, someone who was loved and who is being mourned. To Adam Schefter, do better. The next time you have to tell the world that someone has lost their life, may you do it with grace and humility.
When we're talking about someone who lost their life, do it with grace and humility. Okay, WUSA 9. So I guess you won't be playing audio of his wife's 911 call the moment she found out that her husband was dead, or video of a woman who was driving down the highway and actually witnessed Dwayne Haskins hit by a dump truck in her hysterical 911 call the moment she saw it. You wouldn't play that because, you know, you're doing better, right?
There are still a lot of questions as to why former Washington football star Dwayne Haskins was on the side of a busy Florida interstate the night he was killed. Tonight, we're hearing several of those 911 calls that came in to dispatch, including one from Haskins' wife. Megan Rivers had to listen to these calls, and she's here now to share what she's learned. And we should tell you that some of the audio you're about to hear is pretty difficult.
Oh, so Adam Schefter can't say that, you know, Dwayne Haskins was a standout at Ohio State before struggling to catch on with the Redskins in Pittsburgh. He can't say that. For people who have no idea who Dwayne Haskins is, or just hearing him, he's breaking the news that Dwayne Haskins has just died. A lot of people might not know who he is. He's given them a brief one. He didn't write a paragraph, an essay. He made one sentence summing up his career, and then moved on to the news of the day that Dwayne Haskins had died. That's a crime punishable by Twitter burning at the stake. Burn him at the Twitter stake for that, right? But this, what they about to do, oh, this is perfectly fine.
And we should tell you that some of the audio you're about to hear is pretty difficult.
Hi, I'm calling because my husband was stuck on the side of the highway getting gas. He had to go walk and get gas, and then he said he was returning to the car on the highway. We were on the phone. He said he was going to call me back after he finished putting the gas in. And I kept calling and kept calling. He wasn't answering. Eventually, after 10 minutes of calling, the phone eventually cut off. And it's not working now. And I had his location. And I just want somebody to go in the area and see if his car is there, if he's okay, if anything happened to him.
Wow, this is heart-wrenching, man. This is making my eyes well up, man. This man's wife is on the phone. God, this is heart-wrenching. She's so worried. Such a good wife, such a good woman to check up on him like this. A dynamite woman, man. Making me well up, man. That was a good woman he has, man. That's a good woman, man. Checking up on him, man. Seeing if he's all right. That's what you asked for, man. That's what. See, this is what you guys don't understand, man. You listen to all this red pill, manosphere content. I know a lot of brothers who got wives like this, man. A lot, man. I feel sorry for these red pill manosphere brothers, man. Cause you that's how it's supposed that's how it is, man. I, I feel bad for them, man. Just a wonderful woman, man. Just caring about her husband, checking up on him, wants somebody to go see if he's all right. She hadn't heard from him. Gosh, man. But they're gonna play this on WUSA 9. Such a tender moment. This woman's God. This woman, man, in her pain and anguish, they're really gonna play this.
The woman on the other end of the phone identified herself as a wife looking for her husband. We never actually hear her say Dwayne Haskins' name. The dispatchers try to keep the woman calm. She gives them the last known address of where her husband was and says she's calling from thousands of miles away.
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm at home. We were on the phone. He was getting back, and he called me, and so, that's just not right to him for him not to, call me back, and his phone to go dead, and he was stranded by himself.
In one of the first 911 calls to come into Broward County Dispatch, you can hear another woman screaming by what she apparently just witnessed.
Oh, my God!
What's the address of the emergency?
Hello, 911. Oh, my God!
She's hysterical.
Trying to hear you, and I'm in the middle of a 95.
Eventually, she gains enough composure to share what she just saw.
There was a man hit in front of me. I was traveling on the road, and I saw a dump truck hit the man. I'm on the right side of the shoulder, and he's like towards the middle of the Jersey wall.
Now, listen. I'm a YouTuber. I believe in content and all that stuff, man, and you should be able to. But not a week after you chastised Adam Schefter for saying that this guy struggled. A guy who your channel drug through the mud for 2 years while he was here in D.C. Criticized his every move. What he did after the game. He wasn't preparing before the game. I mean, he didn't study enough. He didn't prepare enough. After the game, he was doing this. He shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't be doing. They dogged this guy. And this is apropos for the way they treated this guy during his life. The way this channel treated Dwayne Haskins.
I was traveling on the road, and I saw a dump truck hit the man. I'm on the right side of the shoulder, and he's like towards the middle of the Jersey wall.
The calls continue to flood in, but let's go back to who we now know is the late Haskins' wife. The dispatcher gives her an update about what she knows about what's happening in the area and where she believes Dwayne last was.
All right, so I don't want you to panic, but I'm going to be honest with you. You do have an incident on the highway, but I can't confirm if that's your husband or not.
Wow. That woman, I know right there. Think about this, man. When this woman heard this, at the very least, she knows her husband's hurt. Very bad. She's just hoping he's alive at this point. And they're going to play this. The same channel that, told us that, how dare you say he struggled when we documented his struggle profusely for 2 years and ran him out of town before the end of his second year.
After a brief pause, the caller asks for a description of the person, and dispatch informs her a rescue is on the scene. It's then when she begins to panic, and as the call went on, you can hear her begin to pray.
Please, forgive me, Lord. He's about me, Lord. He's a man of God. Please, Lord, please be a nice to me, Lord. Please, I promise.
Hit one if you agree with me that this is disgusting coming from them. Now, a YouTuber, somebody will TikTok or Instagram, fine. But coming from these people who just made a big deal grandstanding on their virtue signaling about how it was so egregious to say that this guy was a standout at Ohio State before struggling in the NFL, has passed away today. That was the worst thing ever. It's disgusting that these people are playing this woman's prayers for her husband. The moment she hears that, yes, he's been involved in the accident, her worst nightmare. That's why she made the call in the first place. She hadn't heard from him. She was terrified something might have happened to him. Now it's starting to become crystallized, and they're gonna, play this.
Jesus, give me a Lord. He's about to be a Lord. He's a man of God. Please, Lord, please be a nice Lord. Please, I promise.
When the dispatcher returns to the call, she informs Mrs. Haskins she cannot confirm whether or not it is her husband. But as the investigation continued, we learned that, unfortunately, it was 24-year-old Dwayne Haskins. Now, according to the police report, Dwayne Elliott Haskins Jr. died on the highway. The report says his body was initially hit by the dump truck and then by a second vehicle. The report also says that both drivers stayed at the scene. Leslie?
Hey, this has been so tragic for so many reasons. People have wondered how this could happen, and then to hear this happening in real time, it's really just devastating. Megan, thank you. We know that there are 3 services planned for Dwayne Haskins, one in Philadelphia, one in New Jersey, and a vigil at his alma mater, Bullis High School in Potomac. And we've got all those details for you on WUSA9.com.